Okay, listen to me very carefully. This is breaking news just coming in that radioactive material has been found in shrimp that have been delivered from Indonesia to the United States of America. It's noted that the ports that have received these shrimp are Los Angeles, Houston, Savannah, Georgia, and Miami. It's also noted that these shrimp have been delivered to Wal-Mart stores around the country. So if you are seeing this post, please heed this warning and take it as seriously as you can, that there is radioactive man-made material that is found in this shrimp that was shipped to us from Indonesia. Now again, this story is just breaking. This is just coming out. I just caught it now. It just broke out about a few minutes ago, so I'm trying to get this out to everybody as quick as I can. God forbid this enters into your system, or if you feed your children and they eat this shrimp, it is confirmed that radioactive material is in the shrimp. So again, the story is just breaking. The second I get more information, I will come out to you and get you a part 2 as quick as I can.
Check your freezer. Frozen shrimp sold in 13 states, including Texas, may be radioactive.
This sounds scary. The FDA says the shrimp in question was sold at Wal-Mart. Cesium-137 was detected in shipping containers and frozen shrimp products at 4 U.S. ports. The shrimp products were processed by a company out of Indonesia called BMS Foods. The FDA says if you recently purchased the great value raw frozen shrimp at a Walmart, toss it immediately. It has a best buy date of March 2027.
A lot of things go well with shrimp. Radioactive isotopes, not so much. The FDA warning people not to buy or eat certain great value raw frozen shrimp sold at Walmart because it may be contaminated with cesium-137. That is a byproduct of testing for nuclear reactors and weapons, and unfortunately, it ends up in the ocean. The FDA says the levels do not present an acute hazard, but still, people should avoid ingesting it. It was sold in 13 states, but not in California.
The world is nuts, so good luck. Hope you brought lunch so we can discuss the crazy nuts. The world is nuts, so good luck. Hope you brought lunch so we can discuss the crazy nuts. The world is nuts, so good luck. Hope you brought lunch so we can discuss the crazy nuts. The world is nuts, so good luck. The world is nuts, so good luck.
So now we have radioactive shrimp. Yeah, you heard that right. If you happen to buy any of the great value shrimp from Walmart, it might be radioactive. And Great Value is the brand that's, cheaper, right? And people are always looking for a cheaper option when it comes to food. So apparently none of this stuff has tested positive for being radioactive yet anyways. But why would the FDA be warning about the possibility of this being the case? And one has to wonder if other great value items might be affected in the near future. Who really knows anymore? I'm not saying one way or the other, but it's just very bizarre, everything that is going on anymore. My personal opinion, I would not buy anything Great Value. And if you have any of this shrimp, I recommend taking it back to Walmart or just throwing it out.
Hey guys, welcome to the main channel. I will be showcasing some videos talking about this radioactive shrimp that was sold at Walmart, Krogers, and Costco's. I also will be going over the FDA and how they were involved and at fault because of all the people Trump was firing in the beginning of his term this year. I also found the article about the shrimp and how it can damage your DNA and cause cancer because of the exposure to CS-137. So let's jump right into the videos and then we'll get into the commentary.
We got radioactive shrimps! We literally just had radioactive wasps and then spiders, and now we're heading towards the ocean? And to make matters worse, they're being sold for you to eat! Like literally, they're in our grocery stores right now! Matter of fact, if you've eaten any bit of shrimps in the past 3 weeks, guess what? You're getting superpowers! Psych! You're getting cancer! Your days are now numbered! Make your final words count, cause you're fucked! Like literally, what the point of this update? Are you telling me we might see super flying shrimps in a couple of days? Do you know how mad I'd be if I fucking died because some 4-centimeter shrimp threw me across a building because it randomly got super strength? Matter of fact, we should put these radioactive wasps and spiders and shrimps in a boxing match and have these duel it out. Cause like at this point, we seem to get one every week. And what the are these shrimps near a nuclear power plant? Can we place these things miles away from living animals? Who the building them there? Oh hey, this is some nice shrimps! Ah!
I bought you from the freezer back in aisle 2, glowing in plastic and I saw it moving too. If I was smart I wouldn't eat what smells like glue. They took the shrimpies from a toxic murky sea, soaked them in something that perplexed the CDC, and now my stomach's screaming like it's TNT. I fed my children. What did I give them?
Radioactive shrimp from Wal-Mart. Radioactive shrimp from Wal-Mart.
One bite made me glow in the dark. And now we meet inside the ER late at night. The nurse is whispering that something just ain't right. They scan my insides and my organs look real bright. I'm now immobile.
His dock, 2 hours south of New Orleans, was once one of the biggest shrimp suppliers in the country. But last year, he paid the lowest prices he ever has for the larger shrimp.
30-some years ago, they went down from $5 to $1.30.
That's because he's selling it for so little to the peeling factories.
Right now, it's the cheapest I've ever seen in my life. I'm sick to my stomach. I ain't never seen nothing like this. Never in my life seen it this bad.
After 6 decades in the industry, Dean's no stranger to financial challenges. From the 2010 BP oil spill to big storms. His dock had $2 million in damages after Hurricane Ida hit in 2021.
Where you're standing right there wasn't even there after the storm. I mean, I've rebuilt this building at least 8-9 times.
He never fixed up this part of his marina.
It brings tears to your eyes. I mean, everything you work for all your life is gone.
But imports, he says, have done even more damage.
We're directly correlated with imports. If a completely processed product is coming in for just over $4 a pound, that means our dockside prices have to be lower, the processors' prices are lower. So to be able to try to get that market share and keep it. So you're making the same amount of money that you would in 2000, but 22 years later.
Fewer boats can afford to go out, so less shrimp is landing on Dean's dock.
We're down to right under 20% of what we normally are for this time of the year.
On this day we visited in May 2023, not a single shrimp boat pulled up to unload.
It ain't gonna last too much longer like this. Thank God I'm almost 65 years old and I ain't got no kids in this business.
Dean estimates that 96% of the docks operating when he started out have since closed down.
I feel bad for the people because I know once I'm gone, they're gonna have to drive 50, 60, 70 miles to go sell their product.
Just like Knuckles, when Dean retires, he doesn't think anyone will buy the company.
Nobody can afford to take it over. The property is worth more than the business.
Louisiana still hauls in the most shrimp of any U.S. state, over 70 million pounds in 2023. But that's a small fraction, the roughly 2 billion pounds the U.S. consumes.
The American landings of shrimp cannot cover the overall consumption of shrimp.
Nearly 90% of the shrimp Americans eat is imported, and much of it is sourced using controversial practices. In 2021, an International Trade Commission analysis indicated that shrimp might be the U.S. seafood market most affected by illegal fishing.
This is a public service announcement. Please share this information widely. The FDA has issued a recall of 3 lots of frozen raw shrimp sold at Wal-Marts across the country because they may contain a radioactive isotope of cesium-137. So an Indonesian company sent these frozen raw shrimp that were done under potentially unsanitary conditions. The radioactive isotopes probably came from a nuclear site nearby. And when they did testing at various shipping ports in terms of LA, Houston, Miami, and Savannah, they found very low levels of cesium-137. The level of cesium found in these shrimp samples were very low, significantly lower than the actual threshold that the FDA would be needing to act. So they're doing this out of an abundance of caution because continual low-level exposure to cesium-137 could increase the risk of developing cancer. So if you have these shrimp from Walmart with these specific lot codes, best by 3/15/2027, then it's important not to consume it and throw it out.
Have you heard that your shrimp may be radioactive? It's crazy, but I want to use this as a teachable moment, especially for people who say politics doesn't affect me. This is not an accident. It turns out it's what happens when a government destroys food safety in order to justify tax cuts for rich people. Let me explain. The U.S. actually has one of the safest food systems in the world, or had. That's because we have, or had, teams of scientists at the FDA, CDC, and USDA who test our food and investigate outbreaks before people get sick. But since February, as you know, Trump has fired thousands of these people. Hundreds of FDA workers from food safety, the 3 inspectors general who oversaw our food agencies, 3,500 more FDA employees, and hundreds of CDC workers who track foodborne illnesses. Some of the fired CDC workers literally stopped a lead poisoning outbreak in kids' applesauce in 2023. Plus, 15,000 USDA employees, that is 15% of their entire workforce, took early retirement rather than deal with Trump's chaos. Over 550 of those were from the team that handles meat inspections and bird flu outbreaks. So now 20% of FDA inspector positions are empty, and it's 40% for baby formula inspectors. The FDA suspended 3 programs that test for bird flu and pesticides, and the team that prevents foreign outbreaks from spreading here, they decimated that office. They've made our milk less safe. They withdrew a rule banning dangerously contaminated chicken. So today's radioactive shrimp recall, that's not a surprise. That's what happens when you gut the system that looks for contamination in food. Foodborne illnesses don't care about your political party. They cause 48 million people to get sick each year. 128,000 are hospitalized. The point being that if you consume food in the United States, politics affects you. Really, the Trump administration is attacking our food safety system in more ways than I can list in one video. It could make a lot of us very, very sick. So ignore politics at your peril, because it is a kitchen table issue in more ways than one. Unless, of course, you like your food to glow.
No, they're selling radioactive shrimp at the Walmarts. Apparently, the FDA is putting out a warning that all the shrimp being sold, the great value frozen shrimp, is tested at high levels of radiation. And what happens if you eat a radioactive shrimp? I bet you don't turn into Shrimp Man like Spider-Man. I bet you just get stuck in our terrible for-profit healthcare system in America. So be careful of that. If you're planning on an end of summer shrimp boil, get your shrimp at Aldi or Costco or something, because that would be terrible if the hospitals were filled with people getting radioactive poisoning from shrimp from Walmart of all freaking places. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like that theory of The Simpsons predicting the future has to be the case here. I need a Simpsons fan to weigh in, because there's no way they didn't predict Walmart would have radioactive shrimp between the nuclear waste facility and Blinky the fish. I feel like they had to have known this one was coming, right? Anyways, be careful out there if you're having an end of summer shrimp boil. Make sure that you're just getting your shrimp from like anywhere else.
Only time anybody has benefited from anything radioactive was Spider-Man. The black community is under attack. The FDA has recalled the great value shrimp at Walmart. You tainted tentacle octo radioactive infected mother. Y'all are trying to kill us. It ain't enough lime and lemon juice in the world to cure this. It ain't enough lemon butter sauce that's gonna make me eat any of y'all seafood buzz, cause I know y'all ain't paying for the expensive with them food stamps. They are trying to kill us. You will not be fed on. You will be doing the feeding in the afterlife when they reincarnate as a crab or a squid. Put down, you will die.
Walmart, please. I just ate that shrimp yesterday. What do you mean it's radioactive? I just ate these shrimp yesterday. I was having the craziest headache and I could not figure out why. Now, shout out to WRAL News because they're stating that the FDA said that the shrimp produced by Walmart could possibly... My God, it's radioactive! Now, here's a report from the FDA. Please read it, even though a crazy person runs that administration now. Now, that report states that a recall on the great value raw shrimp, or the Vietnamese, I don't know how to pronounce that, shrimp sold by the 2-pound pack. So that is the specific shrimp. Walmart said that the product was sold in stores in Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Louisiana, Missouri, Mississippi, Ohio, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. But I don't believe them because I bought mine in Arizona. Now, it goes on to say the U.S. Customs and Border Protection alerted the FDA of the detection of CS137 in shipping containers containing shrimp. And because of the widespread trace amounts of CS137 can be found in the environment, including soil, food, and air, products are tested and alerted for CS137 are denied entry into the U.S. Now, I want to make it really clear in case y'all didn't read that. This shrimp made its way through Customs and Border Patrol. So you want us to believe that these hooligans are supposed to be protecting the border and they let the shrimp through? The radioactive shrimp? Now, they did go on to say in the report that they had tested some of them, but they didn't find any radioactivity. But because CS137 was present, it's just better to pull it off the shelves. And this is why they be laughing at America, because we couldn't even protect ourselves against shrimp. What exactly was they going to do at the border?
What if the shrimp you just bought at Walmart was literally radioactive? Reports are surfacing that some shrimp imported from overseas waters once used as dumping grounds for nuclear waste, are ending up in U.S. supermarkets. Even Walmart. Think about it. Massive factory ships sweep up seafood from coasts with almost no regulation. Some of those waters sit beside decommissioned plants, military testing zones, even barrels of radioactive waste dumped decades ago. Scientists have warned radioactive isotopes can bind to crustaceans, building up in their shells and flesh. But here's the kicker. There's no mandatory country of origin label for every piece of shrimp. Processors mix batches from multiple sources, slap on a barcode, and sell them by the bag. You'd never know if yours came from clean waters or glowing seas. So is this just fear-mongering? Or is Walmart quietly selling radioactive shrimp to millions of families? You be the judge. Awake minds don't blend in, they lead. See our official website through the link in our bio. Support the movement and show where you stand.
If you've bought or plan on buying great value shrimp, you better think twice about it. So the FDA is warning the public not to eat, serve, or sell Walmart's great value shrimp. And they're telling you this because it got contaminated with a radioactive substance. You heard what I just said? Walmart could be possibly selling radioactive shrimp. So apparently they detected these radioactive shrimp before they crossed the border. And if you didn't know, they were coming from an Indonesian distributor. And what they're saying this means is that none of these radioactive shrimp made it across the border. Or did they? But hear this out. This is becoming real convenient. First you have radioactive bees. Now you have radioactive shrimp. Now they're saying that all products are going to be banned from coming into the United States from this company. But what company are they talking about? Are they talking about Great Value? Or are they talking about the Indonesian company that they was getting the shrimp from? Think about it as this. Great Value is a cheap option. People usually like to get the cheap option. Is this the only time we're going to have to worry about a situation like this? Radioactive shrimp? What's next? I'm out.
So here's a question that's been on my mind. If you did eat one of those radioactive shrimp from Walmart, what shrimp-based superpowers could you get? There were some surprisingly good ones, like having a super strong exoskeleton, having super powerful vision and the ability to see ultraviolet waves. Shrimp are really spry little guys. They are super fast and super agile, so, superhero material. The mantis shrimp in particular is known to have a super powerful punch. In fact, it can punch so fast that it can cause water to boil. And then, just the ability to breathe underwater and swim around. It worked for Aquaman. Some shrimp even have the ability to go semi-invisible or camouflage themselves in their environment. So, that'd be pretty handy. Super armor, super strength, the ability to turn invisible, the ability to swim underwater, the ability to jump and run really fast. Sounds pretty good to me. Honestly, the only downside of being Shrimp Man would be its one weakness, because Shrimp Man, well, he's pretty delicious.
Honestly, at this point, I would probably be iffy buying any shrimp from any store at this point, since a lot of the stores use the same suppliers. Obviously, if you bought the shrimp from the said stores, Wal-Mart, Krogers, and Costcos, I would immediately throw it away. But yeah, I would question all shrimp altogether at this point in the US. I also thought the lady talking about the seafood bowls was pretty hilarious, because she's right, most people try to find the cheapest shrimp, which is typically at Walmart or Costco's when they do the seafood bowls. So the next time you're at a seafood bowl, I would definitely make sure and ask them, where did you get these shrimp? So I found a recent article that was just posted a few days ago, and I will put the link of the article in the description, but it was pretty much stating that in the FDA recall notice, that it was stating that you could be at elevated risk for cancer if you've had repeated long-term exposure to the CS-137 that was found in the radioactive shrimp. So pretty much the article states long-term repeated low-dose exposure to CS-137 through consuming contaminated food or water over time, they could be at elevated risk for cancer that stems from damage, get this, damage to the DNA within living cells of the body. So that's crazy and insane. And my real question is, how long has the FDA and the government known that this chemical was in the shrimp? How long have you really known? Because based on the wording of the article, you're talking about long-term exposure. If this is a isolated or just a special event that happened to the shrimp, why are you saying long-term exposure? So in my opinion, you probably were aware for a while that this CS-137 was in the shrimp. And I have personally bought this shrimp myself from Walmart and have fed it to my family. And I specifically bought that Great Value brand. And now you're saying long-term exposure in the FDA recall. So that is the real question I have. And again, this is my opinion. I have no facts. I don't work for the FDA. I have no evidence really of this. I'm just going off of the article and the wording of the article saying long-term exposure. And that it's linked to cancer, this CS-137. So I'm gonna go out on a further limb and say that you knew, the government and FDA knew for probably a while, that this CS-137 and similar chemicals have been in our food, and that this is a possible reason for the spike in serious health issues such as cancer, liver disease, kidney disease, and these serious illnesses that are what feeding the other industry, which is the healthcare industry, funding them. I do believe all of this is linked together to serious health issues, to mental disabilities. Recently, autism has been at an all-time high in children. All of this is linked to the food. And that's what JFK Jr. has recently been talking about with our food. And we definitely need to investigate who's monitoring our food at this point, because someone in the recent videos was saying they believe that politics has a big effect on what's going on now with the shrimp. And that recently a lot of people were fired from the FDA or resigned, whatever the case, whatever our president has been doing. And so we need to figure out what's going on with our food and how this is affecting our health and affecting our children's health. So tell me what you guys think in the comments. I think at this point we kind of understand that the system, the entire system that we live in the US is corrupt, from the government all the way down to the healthcare system. And I believe most Americans are tired of it. And I think we are very sick of the lies and the cover-ups. So put in the comments what you think about what I'm saying, if you think it's all linked, or if you just think it's a bunch of hooey what I'm saying, or you agree with it or not. I would love to hear from you guys. Thank you for listening, and you guys stay safe.